receiving pampering, refreshments, and games under the theme Caring for the Caring Dad. The grand celebration is set for June 13 with the Outstanding Fathers Award ceremony where 60 exemplary fathers will be honored at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. So tune in to Cliff Hughes Online June 13 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Catch the live stream on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM from 6 to 9 p.m. for a live broadcast of the Area Council 1 meeting at Tarrant High School, Sunday, June 15. Hear from Deputy Leader Desmond McKenzie, Constituency Chairman Davian Vassell, and guest speakers Delroy Chuck, Robert Morgan, Floyd Green, Rhodamoy Crawford, Senator Abka Fitzhenley, and Councillor Beverly Prince. It's the Area Council 1 meeting at Tarrant High School, Sunday, June 15 from 6 to 9 p.m. right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the West Kingston constituency and the Jamaica Labour Party. Due to the broadcast of the Area Council 1 meeting on Sunday, June 15, Jamaican Dadz, Immaculate Moments, and Baha'i Faith will not be aired.
This is to advise that on Sunday, June 15, 2025, the Mayor's Parlour will begin at 12:30 p.m. We do apologize for any inconvenience caused.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlour with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come on, let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlour.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlour every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Those oldies but goodies reminds me of
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dadz podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dadz podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dadz with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dadz podcast. It's a revolution in media.
The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. The words of a Ghanaian proverb which bring us into this episode of the Jamaican Dadz podcast. Of course, the Jamaican Dadz podcast provides a functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics which concern fatherhood and parenting. And I'm the producer, and for tonight, the presenter, Garth Williams. I'm joined online by Dennis Brooks. And a little later on, we'll be joined by Floyd Green and Marlon Campbell is also on. Oh, great. Marlon is on. Brilliant.
Yes, I'm here. I'm a wonder.
Greetings. Greetings, my brother. Dennis,
Morning, folks. Morning. I'm sorry.
Morning.
I mean, good evening.
Yes, indeed. It is good for us all to be online.
Somewhere. Morning somewhere.
Right? It is. It's been a while since we've gathered in this fashion, in a live fashion, albeit that I'm the lone soldier in the studio and both of you are remote. But that is the nature of parenting at this moment, because one Jackson and one Judah
exactly.
require a certain amount of presence from their fathers, and you're both attending to that at the moment.
They have tests beginning tomorrow. They have exams beginning tomorrow.
Hold on, aren't these boys like 4 and 5?
They're both 6, and they have exams.
5 and 5. Oh, my bad.
6.
They're both 6. Judah turned 6 on January 13, and Jackson turned 6 on April 13.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, so they're both 6, and they have exams. Jackson has end of term exams. And so he has. So we've been studying phonics.
Yes, I love it.
We have spelling tomorrow.
And language arts.
All right. Well, there you go.
We have spelling tomorrow. It's been so long for you. You don't remember these things, guys.
No, I was only off by a year. Go ahead.
No, I mean this.
No, bro. Trust me. That ship that don't see a long time. But Noel is now looking at university.
No.
And
wow.
Yeah, looking at university. Can you imagine that?
When did this happen?
16 years ago. And Nicholas is what, 12 now, and president for Students' Council, following his sister's footsteps. And his father. Anyhow, so it's good to have you both, gentlemen. Today we're discussing, and again, good evening to the listeners wherever you are, in Jamaica and across the diaspora, across the world. Thank you so much for tuning into Nationwide 90 FM and to the Jamaican Dadz podcast. This evening we're discussing leveraging technology to strengthen parenting. It sound a little like a conference, but under the theme, leveraging technology to strengthen parenting. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss this evening. We'll be taking your calls as well. But before we get there, let's fire off with the opening salvo. In the opening salvo, gentlemen, we're talking about how have you seen Father's Day evolve? How have you seen Father's Day evolve? I mean, when I'll give you a minute to think about it while I say a few things, because this podcast started in June of 2020. In fact, our first episode was on Father's Day in 2020, right? And it came as a result of Dennis really just a bad up the whole way.
It was a bad up.
It really was a bad up. Having gone through his experience as a new father and calling on people like myself and Otis and Floyd, who were more experienced in the field, and realizing while navigating that journey that there was a shortage of information to support new fathers, and a lot of the content that was produced around parenting was really geared towards women, geared towards moms, and as a result, as dads, we had to rely on each other. You rely on another father. You rely on probably a professional like a counselor who can probably, a psychologist, somebody who knows how to manage these types of affairs, and would see the result in some instances of absentee or poor parenting. And here we are 5 years later. And if I was to really think about how I've seen Father's Day evolve, one of the things I would certainly point to is this particular podcast and other similar podcasts which support fathers, which provide information, help, direction, and so on, for dads. I have seen where the old narrative of the workless Jamaican papa, move from just being all about that to more recognition of the outstanding, present, positive Jamaican fathers.
Amen.
And I know that I've spoken for a bit. let's hear it from you though, Marlon. How have you seen Father's Day evolve over the years?
Well, today I was driving and I saw that there was a concert happening on Father's Day, and I was like, look at that, at least something is happening.
Right.
Before it really, nothing much would happen, and I think I've heard of another that's happening. I am also tomorrow making a drive to out to the west to moderate a discussion for fathers, a pre-Father's Day discussion that one of the hotels out there is having. So things like that. It's going to be incremental. It's not going to change overnight. I heard a friend, I saw a complaint. I said, I couldn't complain, say, by now, he would have been bombarded. He was being bombarded by Mother's Day things from the Thursday. And then barely I hear nothing for the Father's Day right now. And I say, well, even if it's barely you're hearing, then take time. One time gone, nothing would be here. That passed and we wouldn't even remember.
True.
And you know what? God, for me at the end of the day, regardless of it being celebrated, what I am seeing, the change that I'm seeing is in how fathering is being done. So regardless of whether or not it's being celebrated, I'm seeing a change in how fathering is being done, and for that I'm grateful. And I'll close with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Dennis?
I've noticed, I would say, a significant change first of all, in the narratives around fatherhood. And as you said, the Jamaican father, it's no longer National Beat Up on Men Day or National Lament Men Day. So there's that I've seen. I think, like, particularly in the 1990s was a period of, oh my gosh, it was constant, and I hated it personally because that wasn't my. But I've also noticed recent years, I think in the last 5 years since we've been doing this podcast, what I've noticed is that so many more people reach out to us, like when they need forums about fatherhood and men and male responsibility. Like, people are now, because people are seeking people who can speak on these matters. And so, like, increasingly in the last 5 years, I've seen more and more and more people reaching out for us to engage them. We've seen awards like there's a Eternal Father Award. We're seeing where people are trying to have productive conversation, and so in that regard, I think it's a net positive that we've contributed to the space, and that we can definitely say that we've made a difference. So I've seen that there has been an evolution, and I think it's worth being proud of.
Absolutely, I wholeheartedly agree with both of you and the sentiments that you've expressed. All right, we've got to take a quick break. You're tuned in to the Jamaican Dadz podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM. When we return, we'll be discussing leveraging technology to strengthen parenting. Stay with us.
Need to make a change to your title or need a title? GeoLand Title Limited. They do lost title application, add and remove names from titles, wills, estates. First-time registration land surveys also included. Affordable rates and flexible payment options. NLA adjudication and land titling waivers also available. They have 8 locations island-wide. Call 876-754-6436 or visit their website at geolandonline.com. GeoLand Title Limited. Secure your land, secure your title.
You You want to win? Then just bet. Bet on the game, no stress, no sweat. And win big in the wanna bet, just bet promotion. Spend $1,500 or more on one just bet ticket and complete the entry form at promotions.supremegames.com for your chance to win. Third place gets Beats by Dre. Second place gets an iPhone 15 and AirPods Pro. And first place gets a 65-inch TV and a soundbar. Promotion runs May 16 to July 20, 2025. Grand draw July 25, 2025. Authorized under Section 58(3) of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Welcome back to the Jamaican Dadz podcast. I'm Garth Williams, and online with me are Marlon Campbell and Dennis Brooks. This evening we're discussing, or we're just about to get into the discussion about leveraging technology to strengthen parenting. Now, I mean, technology is everywhere. It's in our pockets, in our homes, and definitely in our children's lives. This is 2025, right? But the real question is, how can we as fathers use technology intentionally to become more effective, more present, and more connected, right? So let me pitch the question again. How can we as fathers use technology, to become more effective, more present, and more connected? And I've got a couple of points here that we can discuss to kind of get through it. Let me start with the matter of education, because that is probably the easiest one to start with, to commence with, because we're talking about the pandemic when the podcast started, and we would recall COVID-19 and how it pulled us away from the public, pulled us away from spaces, pulled us away from people. What was it? What was the phrase? Social distancing. And it was interesting because, one of the things that was immediately obvious is that the same devices that our children would primarily use for entertainment, right, immediately became the devices from which they learned. They had to start learning from those devices. And it was a big challenge because, Dennis, you can speak to the psychology of it. But when your brain, especially a child's brain, gets used to a particular environment or a particular thing or a particular purpose, and they associate a certain function with it, it is very difficult for them to kind of know switch functions and be successful, right?
You're very right. And so, I mean, and many logical studies have been done to look at the impact of screen time on children of particular ages, and to look at the impact of different periods of screen time. And so when during the pandemic we were looking at, of course, spending your entire day on a screen, learning how to learn differently. It was a very difficult time in learning how to learn via that way. And I've said it many times. If it was up to me, if I was in school doing C-Tech during that time, I would not have done well. I would not have done well in school because I didn't learn well in that way.
Right.
But at the same time, teachers had to be learning how to teach that way. And it's funny because years before, maybe in the mid-2000s, when I was teaching sociology at the UWI Distance Education Center, UEDEC, it was called at the time. Now I believe it's called the School of Continuing Studies. Like we were being trained in distance education, teaching people who you're not seeing them face to face. And it was I remember being in Trinidad at a training, and it was the most weird thing. And I'm like, we're like, yeah, why are we ever going to need to do this?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I had a little bit of preparation for what it means to try to teach people in that way. But imagine the teacher who has never been taught how to teach this way, and they're learning an entirely different pedagogy. It was difficult.
Yeah.
But and then now you're learning. I think a byproduct is that we now become so accustomed to integrating it into our life that as parents we just have to learn how to use the Zoom call or use the WhatsApp call or whatever as a part of parenting from a distance as well.
Yeah, we're now joined by Floyd Green.
And it's good timing too, because I think he could speak to the use of the technology of the day in his parenting. Well, in how he was parenting.
Yeah, so Floyd, how you doing? Good to have you.
Boy, this feels like old times. Oh, this is so good. Is that Marlon? Is that Dennis? Is that Garth? Is that Garth? God is good all the time. No, yeah, God is good. I'm telling you, this definitely feels like old time. How you doing, Dadz? I'm happy to be here. Happy Father's Day when it rolls around on Sunday.
Right.
And listen, I'm coming to your yard. Whatever you getting, may I come? If food I cook comes up extra. May I come?
The unfortunate thing, I think, is going to be our working Father's Day, but that's not a story. But you know how it goes.
Right.
That time of year.
Yeah, it's that season.
Yeah, it's that season.
Yeah, Floyd. So
where are we?
Yeah, so we're discussing leveraging technology to become more effective, to strengthen parenting. And the first point I led off with was around education. And just to kind of contextualize it a bit, just kind of looking back at COVID and how the devices that the kids generally used to play suddenly became the learning tools.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now I think it has provided another wonderful opportunity for us as parents, fathers, to connect with our kids, because through the tech, a lot of dads tend to be techie and and interested in tech and so on. And it can provide an avenue for us to kind of connect with our kids in a different way. Your thoughts?
100%. So clearly growing up, most of us were drawn to tech, even when tech wasn't readily available. Most of us are drawn to games. And I think there's a real opportunity now to use tech to build stronger bonds. And it sounds like what isn't normally said, because normally it's about how can you limit your child with tech and how can you ensure that they focus more on interpersonal relationships. And all of that is important. I'm sure we will get to that. But I do believe, and I have found, that if used in the right way, tech can really be beneficial, especially in those educational journeys. I'll tell you my very first experience. I am a big believer and fan of a product called Scout. I don't know how many of you had a Scout. I bought Scout from Marlon's child Judah, right? I'm a big believer in Scout. Scout is a teddy bear, right? It was a teddy bear that infuses technology, so it speaks. And you can program it, so it says literally, highness ideal, and it starts to guide them through conversation. It starts to guide them to things like, highness ideal, it's time to go to bed. Let's sing a song, And it engages in a way when they're very young, but forms that sort of conversational piece of their brain. And I find there are a lot of tools out there that can help in early stage development of our children. I think as fathers, it's exciting just to explore, to investigate, to do the research, and to find something like a Scout. And I'm telling you, once somebody comes to me and says, boy, he just had a baby, and I say, all right, you like this? More than likely, a Scout, Agree that one, right? Agree that one. Let me get you the ballot.
Yes.
Agree that one, Scout, right? Because it works. Because I saw how my son was engaged, his eyes light up, how I'm trying to talk because of Scout. So. Yeah, man, they're where we are now with technology, we definitely can leverage it to engage our children more.
Yeah, one of the things that came immediately to mind as well is, how sometimes you're not a subject matter expert in whatever the area is, right? Yeah. And your child might come to you and say, boy, daddy, so and so and so and so. And you're like, boy, you kind of out of your depth, right? now with tech, once you have a solid internet connection, you are able to learn something, right? As well as your child, if your child has mastered something as well, they can teach you. So it's a learning experience that can go both ways.
And Dennis and the guy, sorry Marlon, I told the story before, but just on that point, remember when Nate started chess, his father had never played chess.
Right.
I never grew up with chess. I don't know about chess. I know about chess, but we never engaged in chess.
Right.
And when Nate come over and said, Daddy, I want to get a chessboard. I like it. Can we play chess? Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, no problem. I'll get a chessboard. And we go YouTube some chess moves. YouTube some opening. And I tell you, the first 3 games we play, he thought I was king.
Right.
He thought I was king at chess until clearly it was past the level. But the point is exactly what you said, guys. You know, we can use the technology in ways that expand our own horizons to engage our children.
Yes, absolutely.
But what else I also thought about is the fact, Floydie, that we could go and search together. And that's another bonding moment. Mm-hmm. We ask you, Daddy, what is so-and-so? You know, son, I don't know, but let us go look it up. Right. That's a bonding moment right there.
That is
to go and look it up together and discover it together. And even the whole act of, you know, looking at different opinions and so forth and things, which will then teach them to listen, be discerning about what opinion, you know, and that multiple opinions and them things like that. But for me, when I heard the topic, I automatically thought, for me, I was thinking more along the line of how parents who maybe not even be there in the space, like, because we know how it is, can maintain a connection with their child remotely.
Yeah, and we're going to get down into that, because that's one of the points a little further down. But we're right up on the break. You're tuned into the Jamaican Dadz podcast. We're discussing leveraging technology to strengthen parenting. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, more with myself, Dennis, Floyd, Marlon, and you.
Following Hurricane Tip is brought to you by PowerTech Jamaica. Map out multiple evacuation routes by foot or bike. Roads may flood or get blocked, and gas may run out. Know at least 3 ways to leave your area, and prep a go bag that's light enough to carry. Keep a paper map handy, as GPS might fail in an outage. The preceding Hurricane Tip was brought to you by PowerTech Jamaica. Telephone 876-908-0196-9.
Need reliable security for your business? Dual Protective Security is the perfect choice, providing round-the-clock security solutions and customer support. Our security experts will work with you to create customized solutions that fit your needs and budget. Contact us today and enjoy the peace of mind you deserve with their unbeatable security services. Dual Protective Security. Call 876-676-6987 or 876-415-4564.
You have to win? Then just bet. Bet on the game, no stress, no sweat. And win big in the Wanna Bet Just Bet promotion. Spend $1,500 or more on one Just Bet ticket and complete the entry form at promotions.supremegames.com for your chance to win. Third place gets Beats by Dre. Second place gets an iPhone 15 and AirPods Pro. And first place gets a 65-inch TV and a soundbar. Promotion runs May 16 to July 20, 2025. Grand draw July 25, 2025. Authorized under Section 58. Of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Welcome back to the Jamaican Dadz podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM. We're discussing leveraging technology to strengthen parenting. I am Garth Williams, and I am joined online by my fellow Dadz, Floyd Green, Dennis Brooks, and Marlon Campbell. If you're just joining us, we are taking a look at exactly what the topic says, leveraging technology to strengthen parenting. The first area we stopped at was using tech education to support learning through educational apps. And once we're there, Marlon, I want to pick up on that point that you were making just before we went to the break in terms of just ensuring that we use tech as a bridge to connect with our children. Because where is the point that I have here? I just need to find it.
While you find the point, I can jump in with you.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I regularly do, for instance, in order to get Jackson into the joy of reading, for instance, I make it a point of duty to write lots of stories, short stories using generative AI. And so, for instance, if he's into Paw Patrol right now, or if he's into, what do you call it there, Pokemon, he's into Pokemon right now. If he's into Pokemon, so I make sure to create a story about Ash and Dr. Oak and Pikachu and Raichu, all sort of characters, and I plug it into a Jamaican context, and before you know it, we have a story that he's interested in reading.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant.
So it's funny, like he knows that, like, that he will. We're traveling, and we're gonna come up with a story about the adventure of so and so and so at JFK Airport.
Yeah.
And so while he's there, I say, put down. All right, you're gonna put down the tablet. You're gonna read this, and he reads it, and it's a joy to see him cackling in laughter, reading this story that he's in, along with the characters that he's enjoying.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
What I also use, for instance, when they send the study topics, what I often do is I will, based on the study topics, I will create multiple choice questions, short answer questions, quiz questions to help him study for his exam.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the bathroom while helping him to study. I put on the phone. I didn't realize that this boy picked up my phone and wrote a prompt. And I saw when I came back, I saw some things on the phone that I never saw before. And I'm like, what is this? And then so, like, later on he says, Daddy, he said something about, can I download GPT chat on my phone, Daddy, on my tablet, Daddy? I said, no, you're not downloading anything. Can I download GPT chat on my tablet? But these kids are, again, I always say these kids are digital natives. We are digital immigrants. No matter how savvy we are digital immigrants.
Yeah.
This is their world. They are digital natives, and they are soaking up the technology. And we have to get savvy with it, or else it's going to leave us behind.
That's true. We have to keep pace. Strengthening communication with your child. For dads like myself, who travel every now and then, or don't live with their children full time.
Yeah, right. Every now and then.
You know what it is. But we don't. And listeners may know, or if them know now, that I don't live with my children full time at the moment. But technology is a bridge. I'll tell you that. Video calls, shared apps. Even voice notes, right? These little things help to keep the communication, because your presence matters. I think I was here, when was it, Bugs? A Tuesday night for Affairs of the Heart with Rodney Campbell. And he asked a question about what was the biggest lesson I learned from my father. And the lesson was summarized in 2 words: be there. be there in all sorts of ways. I don't have to go through all of the various alleys, right? But just being there. And tech at this point has helped me to be there. From the video call to the voice note to the phone call, to answer questions, to share ideas, to be a source of relief, to inspire.
Even provide discipline.
And
that sometimes, yeah.
Thankfully, I don't have that much of a challenge that I have to do it remotely.
Awesome
but they have an awesome mom too. Right? But it really is a bridge, and I think of even Floyd as well, because Floyd, you spend half your time under your roof with your family, and then half the time in the constituency and elsewhere across the country. How do you leverage tech to ensure that you and Nate especially are able to maintain that bond together? Wait, Floyd missed in the dance? All right, no problem. We'll get him back in just a moment. One of the other things I want to point to, and I don't raise it with you, Dennis and Marlon, because your situations are very different, where you get to be with your children physically, especially like on a very consistent basis, daily even, in Dennis's instance. But digital tools for co-parenting. That's something else too. That now that we're talking about distance between father or parent and child, there's an app called Our Family Wizard and another one called Cozy, right? And for those persons who are tuned in who share custody of their child or share custody of their children, right, with the other parent, if you can take a look through, take a look at Our Family Wizard. It's a wonderful scheduling app that makes life so much easier, and it helps you to organize time for various activities and to pull in the other parent and to ensure that there is enough clarity and enough notice given. Because sometimes we hear parents complain, I won't say which one complain more, whether mommy or daddy complain that the other just drop off the child or them forget something, or you know what I mean? And I'm a man who live my life on a spreadsheet. Dennis know this, right? Rows and columns are my friend, right?
I don't know how you do it, but yeah.
Right? But this app and these apps, Cozy is another one, COZI, right? Those apps help to manage shared custody schedules, school events, communication between parents, and ultimately can help to reduce tension, and it increases the consistency for the child, because similar to a timetable, the child can see where he or she will be and with whom and when. And I'm sure you can see the benefit in that, Marlon and Dennis.
Yeah, I hope that them can remember. But yeah, the thing is, like that way all the time that both parents can, and I figure it allows both parents to even make adjustments if needs be,
right,
as it goes. And yeah, technology in terms of like, with the world that we're in right now is going to require that sort of technology and so forth. And I mean, I would have said that we have been leveraging it for a minute in terms of, it's just that it's got a bit more tricky, but even the phone calls and them things, the way you used to have to deal and things.
Yeah. And Floyd is back. Sorry, man. Floyd is back, so I just want to get his take on it. Floyd is talking about using tech to bridge gaps in distance, because you spend half your time in the constituency and half the time at home. Like, how do you use tech to ensure that you and Nate, for example, maintain that bond and that level of connection?
Recently I was just reflecting on how far we had come. So we're going to age ourselves now, guys, but all of you can appreciate what I'm saying. I remember growing up, there was a cartoon called The Jetsons.
Yes.
Right, and
Jordan E.L.Y.
and the Jetsons had video calling. And at the time, we used to say, Jesus, the Jetsons lie, man. Because people could actually see images. Right? You know, I have come to become a great appreciator of video calling and the fact that the technology has advanced to a stage where literally you can call and see images and see what is going on. So clearly when I'm in the constituency and I want to see what this is up to, I remember I now have a 12-grade 13, a high schooler, a full boy with all of those challenges. When I call him, I want to see what he's up to. Because he may say he's up to something, but he's up to something completely different. So the video call is a big tool. No, even though he knows how to reject it and then call me back on you and I say, oh, what's happening? But the video call is a big tool now. And it does make the distance feel better. Yeah. And I think for fathers who may work abroad or who may have to be out of parish and out of the home for work, as I do have for the week, the technology does make it a much better. In fact, you know what I mean, St. Elizabeth now, and probably about 2 hours ago, he called to say, all right, Dad, what time you coming home? Things of that nature, what you're doing. So, you know, the technology has really come a far way and help. And I think as fathers, we should strategically use it, not be afraid of it. So, video call his son, make him show you what's going on. Make him show you the homework that he's supposed to do.
Yes.
Right? Make him show you if the area around him is clean. Things of that nature. And I said this one about video call the children. And I think that's very, very important. So the technology can help. Clearly, we're also on WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I have to come to grips now that my son, you know, updates his statuses.
Right.
You know, I had to have a discussion with him about the responsible use of statuses, right? And, you know, it can make everybody know where you are at all times. But, I mean, the WhatsApp clearly also helps. So, literally, I'm at the match. He has to be studied. I go watch Jamaica, a goal score. I send him a message. So those things really make keeping the bond much easier. And I think, especially in situations where you're co-parenting or you're separated, I think it's very important to use the technology to keep the bond.
Yeah.
Wait,
hold on. No, don't forget. Oh, hold on to your point, Marlon. Right up on the break. So I'll take it as soon as we return from the break. You're tuned into the Jamaican Dadz podcast. We're discussing leveraging technology to strengthen parenting. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, by God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path. Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Tune in to Cliff Hughes Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we celebrate fathers on June 13 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. The Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, in association with the Bureau of Gender Affairs, will celebrate Father's Day 2025 under the theme, The Power of Presence. Fathers who make a difference. #Daddy is home. Activities begin with a spa day on June 11 at the Ministry's Roof Terrace with outstanding Fathers Award recipients and Ministry staff members who are fathers receiving pampering, refreshments and and games under the theme Caring for the Caring Dad. The grand celebration is set for June 13 with the Outstanding Fathers Award ceremony where 60 exemplary fathers will be honored at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. So tune in to Cliff Hughes Online June 13 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Catch the live stream on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Welcome back to the Jamaican Dadz podcast. I'm Garth Williams, joined by my fellow presenters, Floyd Green, Dennis Brooks, and Marlon Campbell, who are all online while I'm anchoring here in studio. We're discussing leveraging technology to strengthen parenting. Marlon, you wanted to just follow up on a point that Floyd made, because I'm going to segue from his last point into something else.
I was reminding him that, when we were, he had mentioned how his dad had maintained some contact back in the day. You still with it. Same way, the use of the then technology.
Which was pen and paper.
Calling.
Or which was the call box.
The call box. You remember?
The call box was big for me. Remember, my father lived a foreign call box every Sunday. Very true.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was reminding them that when we spoke about that in an episode, that your dad was using the technology of the day.
Yes.
To maintain the contact and such that. So I'm like, look at that.
And now the call box in your hand. You literally call box in your hand now.
I must add another layer of the technology. I recently discovered a thing called Facebook Kids. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of it. Facebook Kids.
Facebook Kids.
Facebook still exists?
Yeah, Facebook Kids.
Oh, page.
Basically, kids, that's KIDS.
Oh, kids.
Facebook
Kids. Yeah, Facebook Kids. Mm-hmm.
So, what you can do now is, you can download Facebook Kids on their tablet, and they're able to have access to persons who you the parent, because it's based on parental control. So you can put whoever you want on it. So, for instance, my son, who has no siblings, he is able to talk to his cousins on Facebook, and so he can leave my phone alone, and he can use his tablet to video call him auntie, and video call him cousins, and it's really great to see him maintain relationships, with other members of his family by using these things. Of course, I'm at work, and in the middle of the afternoon, I'll get a video call. Daddy, I want fries. But it's just like him using the video call. So, without giving him a phone, which I think he's nowhere near ready for a phone, but without giving him a phone, he's able to maintain contact with me, which is really good because they're designing apps, and I don't have to worry about anybody talking to him
that he doesn't know. Yeah, no stranger danger to consider there. And on that note, Floyd was making a point when he was closing out before the break about ensuring that we teach them essentially healthy tech habits, right? And that's one of the things too, because even Dennis made the point that I think Jackson got access to his phone and typed in a prompt on ChatGPT. Yeah, typed in a prompt on ChatGPT, and then wanted to even get ChatGPT for himself on his device. And as we expose our children to tech, we have to ensure that we protect our children as well. We have to teach our children to use tech responsibility. Obviously, many of us, we grew up without cell phones, so we're still figuring it out. Some of us are still figuring it out as we go. But if we're using tech together, coding games, building projects, doing research, watching educational shows, that kind of thing, it helps to model balance. So it's not just that your children are getting devices to play games. No, it also, you have to show them how to do proper research, to confirm factuality in the sources that they cite, and so on and so forth, to look out for propaganda, to look out for lies, especially as we are in an age where AI is a powerful, very, very powerful tool, and so much mischief can come from the abuse of AI, especially in the wrong hands, right? It is a wonderful tool, but as with all tools, in the wrong hands, it can cause serious damage. So we have to be able to teach our children to use the tech properly, as we also learn to use tech properly. The same concept around stranger danger, right? Sharing your location, giving out information about yourself, your parents, etc., are still quite valid online. I understand that we lost a couple of the calls, but Delis and Marlon are back. I mean, you would have heard just what I said just now. Just kind of jump in on that in terms of responsible use and teaching our children responsible use of tech.
I've long felt that the reality is that we live in an era of misinformation and disinformation. And as part of training up our children to be functional members of society, it is going to be a new skill for them to be able to spot a trick, to be able to spot when they're being duped. And the sooner we can train them to be more digitally resilient, the better. And so if we can utilize the devices to train them to spot when someone's trying to hack them or catfish them or what have you, then they will be more resilient because they live in a more and more digital world. So I agree with that point.
Yeah, Floyd. We were building under the point you had made just before the break about the responsible use of tech, because the age in which we live, Dennis just mentioned and built on it to say, it's an age of misinformation and disinformation, and you have to prepare your children to properly decipher what the truth is versus what is propaganda, and even putting themselves in danger.
Yes, it's a big issue, and it's way more complex than when we were growing up. And it's twofold, but I'm sure it's about 24. The reality is that on one hand, the issue about misinformation is big because even as adults, it's hard to know what is real and what is not real. And I think we have to find ways to say to our children, look out for these telltale signs, but also their usage of it is a big issue. And again, work with my son, just simple things like not necessarily sharing where you are at the time that you are there. They're growing up in an age of immediate communication. We never had those issues. They take a picture in our days growing up, if we go to the photo studio, they come back, right? Yeah. And I saw it. I went on my son's status and saw that we were somewhere, and he updated it instantly, took a picture, updated it instantly. I just said to him that, boy, Nate, listen, let's have a conversation about this. Letting people know where you are may not be what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, there are unscrupulous people who may be able to view what you're posting and who may not mean you well and know that you're here and may come to where you are. Right? So I think we just have to appreciate, we have to have those discussions. And there's also the overuse. I think that one of the big things that we all are grappling with and will have to grapple with, depending on the age of your child, is how much time do they spend on these devices. Remember, to be honest, the platforms now are all encompassing. Whatever you like, whatever you're into, you can find. So I think we have to ultimately say to them that, listen, yes, all right, this is good, this is nice, but personal contact is important. Putting on the device is important. Limiting yourself is important. So I think those things are very, very important for us as fathers to have these discussions with our children. Games, I had to say to my son, listen, I'm a game man. I said, son,
a game.
I grew up loving video games, right? But I had to just limit myself. And if you don't, then you'll just waste your time. So, the technology now, it's so accessible. It has so much potential for good, but also for bad.
Absolutely. And we are 2 minutes outside of the end of the show. I just wanted to point to one other thing, gentlemen, that when we're talking about leveraging tech, let us also make use of apps and sources that can help our mental health and our wellness. Right? Because a lot of times there's still a bit of stigma around seeking support for your mental health. But it doesn't have to be all face to face, right? There are various apps that can help us manage our time and manage our stress and so on. So brethren, online, fathers everywhere. While you think of using tech to improve your parenting, look at yourself as well and see how you use tech to benefit and improve yourself. Yeah, Marlon, quickly.
I use one called Insights. Insight Timer and things. It's a meditation app.
Right.
And I don't know if Androids come with it, but iPhones also come with a journal you can download online. So and there's several other things. So
and there's the BetterHelp app, which I have found to be very, very useful.
Better Me or Better Me?
I think, and clearly we'll have to have multiple shows around this technology because, one of the points that I want to raise is even as fathers engage with their children with this new tech, is to say to them on their educational journey, because information is so accessible. It's not necessarily what you know, is how you can utilize it.
Absolutely.
Right, I've had to say my son time and time again. When I ask my kids, I said, Nate, you Google it? Because it's there.
Yeah.
Right? I've told him, I said, listen, we used to have to go to the library. We used to have to wait till the weekend, go find encyclopedia. Those things are done. Right?
True.
So in order to distinguish yourself, it's not that you know this fact. How can you utilize the information, right? How can you analyze? How can you react? Those are the things that we'll have to really focus on our children.
Yeah, indeed. So it's not about the gadgets. It's about the way we use them. Yeah. Tech can bridge gaps, build trust, and empower us to be better dads. Again, gentlemen, thank you so much. I wish you all a happy Father's Day.
Done already?
Yeah. Yes.
Happy Father's Day to all of the people who listen to Jamaican Dads. There's so many good dads out there who listen to us, guys. Happy Father's Day. Enjoy it. And ladies, make sure to do something for the father.
Yeah, absolutely.
And next weekend, come out to the JCF Transformations Expo. I'm telling you. All of the fathers bring the kids out.
All right, good.
Hold on.
So
it's next weekend?
Yes, man, but we have a follow it up with Dennis.
No,
next week we can talk about it.
Yeah, man. All right. So thanks for tuning in. As always, we encourage every father listening to keep growing, keep showing up, and keep leading with love, online and offline. Until next time, stay strong, stay present, and stay connected. Thank you, Bugs. Thank you, Dennis, Marlon, Floyd. On behalf of Jamaican Dads, I say Happy Father's Day as well. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. Take care.
The race to